Hello, my name is Kiran Bhagat, and this is an extension in the series of cardiovascular health and lifestyle diseases. We talked in the previous session about why these occur and what has happened in our industrialized world, in our AI world, and in the change that we've seen in 2023 and the changes we're going to be seeing in 2024. Today we're going to talk about some of the preventive measures for some of the conditions we talked about. Just in brief, we talked about heart disease, we talked about heart failure, we talked about stroke, we talked about heart attack, we talked about kidney failure, we talked about diabetes. These are all primarily lifestyle conditions. And what is the lifestyle that we've come across that has occurred that underpins, if you like, all of these conditions? And it is two major things. It is the lack of exercise. We live in a sitting culture. Sitting, if you like, you've heard this before, sitting is the new smoking. Obesity is the new smoking. We sit and we eat, we sit and we work, we sit and we drive, we sit and we watch television, and we sit and have a conversation. So we are not designed as animals to sit. You know, you also have to ask yourself which animal in the animal kingdom goes on a diet. You've never seen a dog saying, I need to go on a diet. You've never seen an animal saying, I need to go on a diet. It's only our humans, in our stupidity, have now decided we have to follow a certain diet, a cabbage diet, a coffee diet, a British Heart Foundation diet. Where have you seen an animal having to fast because they are overweight? Animals don't become overweight because they don't eat the wrong foods. So the issue of obesity, which is the rising epidemic on our continent of Africa and is seen worldwide, is the issue that underpins a lot of things. And what is causing this obesity, and as a result, the heart disease and the stroke and the diabetes and the heart attack that we're seeing, is primarily got to do with one particular ingredient in the foods that we eat. And that ingredient is sugar. It's not fat, it's not protein, it's nothing else except sugar. And it's not just the sugar you put in your tea. It's the sugar that is hidden by the food companies that sell us the foods that we eat and convince us that we're eating healthy. If you ever have to buy a box that says to you, extra nutrients added, or extra vitamins added, it basically means there was no vitamin in there in the first place, and the company has had to add it. I've even seen now white bread that has been made brown and sold as brown bread to convince you that brown bread is better than white bread. Bread is bread. It's like a patient saying to me, doctor, I'm eating brown sugar. Whether it's brown or white, it's sugar. So it's very important to understand that you need to conscientize yourself, sensitize yourself, understand the labels on the foods that you eat to ensure that the sugar content, which we'll talk about why it's such a poison, is actually causing the havoc that is causing in the body that you inhabit. This is your vehicle. You know, in our country, we often see our population looking after their livestock and their horses more than their body. They brush their horses, but they don't brush their teeth. They feed and supplement their livestock, but they don't feed and supplement themselves the right way. So, for example, if you look at a box in a supermarket and you cannot understand the names on the labels of the boxes that you are buying, you should not be eating it. Because you'll often see things like polysucrose, polymultisaccharide, you'll see phenylalanine, you'll see acarbose, you'll see ascorbic acid, you'll see chemicals like benzoic acid. If you don't understand what those chemicals are, you shouldn't be eating them. Primarily, these chemicals are there to preserve food. And it is in the preservation of that food that the toxins are beginning to occur. We're beginning to understand that the plastic in which some of these foods are contained, or the water that is containing, the plastic is eroding into the water or into the food that you're eating. For example, if you microwave a plastic item, and we're beginning to have microplastic problems in our circulation. We are beginning to understand that if you take blood from an umbilical cord of a mother who's just delivered a baby and take that blood sample, we're beginning to see all sorts of toxins and insecticides and pesticides and cosmetics in the cord blood feeding the baby. So heaven knows what's going to happen to our new generation as they're absorbing some of the chemistry that we're eating from the products that we are buying, from the preserved quantities that are out there on the supermarket. You should know that if a food decays, it's healthy for you. If a banana rots, it's because it's alive. If you take an Oreo biscuit, it will not rot because it contains chemistry. If you put a banana next to an Oreo biscuit, you'll find that the ants and the insects go to the banana because it's a live thing. It's organic. It's made by the good Lord. The reason why the Oreo biscuit or the things that you buy from the supermarket don't decay is they're preserved in chemistry. An ant even won't go to a biscuit because it knows it's dead. So the issue in simple terms of how to eat to prevent some of the lifestyle diseases we talked about is generally to eat what God made, not what man made. The closer you eat to the soil and the sun, the better it is. We've talked about this in our last series. So eat the crops that come from the soil rather than the things that are manufactured and ground and filtered and processed within a factory. It is the reason why some of the oils that are manufactured on the supermarket and sold in the supermarket are not good for you, because the chemistry involved in making it a golden color, sunflower oil, safflower oil, soya oil, are all chemistry that actually cause lots of oxidation in the body and cause heart disease. We know that the salt content of some of the cereals, some of the breads that you're eating, some of the crisps that you're consuming are so high, it's enough to raise your blood pressure. And we know that salt has a direct link with blood pressure. The higher the salt content, the higher the blood pressure. And we know this salt causes abnormal chemistry in your kidneys. We know that this sugar, when it's consumed in high quantities, say for example you eat a plate of pasta. Everybody knows when they eat a plate of pasta, they feel sluggish. And the reason why they feel sluggish, almost lethargic, like you want to have a nap, is there is so much sugar that's being released in the circulation. The body sends all the blood circulation into the stomach and the blood pressure drops and you feel like you need to have a nap, which is why they have siestas in certain parts of Europe, in the Mediterranean part of Europe, because they've eaten a load of pasta or a loaf of bread. And when that sugar rises in the circulation, the body says there's sugar in the circulation, and sugar is the number one poison in the circulation. So it rushes out a particular hormone called insulin. Insulin is a hormone that drops the sugar. Now the sugar is then converted into a chemical called triglyceride, which is a component of cholesterol. That triglyceride, together with other forms of cholesterol, are now circulating in your bloodstream. And the body says, what shall I do with this? And the best way to remove it from the circulation is to begin to deposit it in your heart and in your coronary arteries and in the arteries going into your neck and in your stomach, in what we call your viscera. So we call it your omental, so the belly fat. So we now know that belly fat is very poison. The bigger the size of your waist circumference, the more likely you are to be in danger of a heart attack and diabetes. So if you measure your waist circumference, and it's in a man, if your waist circumference is more than 90 centimeters, in a woman, if your waist circumference is more than 80 centimeters, you are in trouble. You are going to develop a condition called cardiometabolic syndrome, which basically means that the heart and the metabolism are combining to lay the undergirdings of diabetes, blood pressure, stroke, heart attack, and heart failure in the future. And this all comes from the molecule of sugar. We know that in cancer medicine, in order to detect cancer in the body, we actually radioactively inject a sugar molecule. And that sugar molecule will race to the areas where there's cancer, because cancer loves sugar. And cancer will begin to eat that molecule, and the radioactivity will light up to show us where the cancer is. That's how toxic sugar is. It's addictive. It's something that is pervasive in our community and our culture, and we're eating it continuously. We should not be consuming more than generally 5 to 6 teaspoons of sugar in a week, and yet we're eating pounds and pounds and kilos on kilos of sugar in our diet. So that is primarily the first port of call in terms of managing cardiovascular disease. The second is exercise. And people say to me, I don't have the time. If you don't have time for health now, you should find time for disease in the future. It's going to come. You cannot use the excuse that you don't have time. People can do exercises within a kitchen. I call them kitchen workouts. You can do press-ups and sit-ups. You can do lunges in a kitchen. You don't have to go to a gym. You can walk. It's cheap, it's free, it's easy, and it's safe. 20 minutes of exercise consistently 3 to 4 times a week is enough to drop your blood pressure, to make you feel better, to reduce your anxiety, to reduce your depression, and to drop your sugar and cholesterol. But it's not a pill. People want a pill. People want a quick fix. The pill is lifestyle. It's not a diet, because diets you can go on and off. Make it a lifestyle for the changes we want to see in the cardiovascular diseases that we're talking about.